Welcome into your favorite show, Views from the Stands. I'm your host, Stevie B, Steve Brennan, and you know I got my two partners with me. We got the GM, George Mike. We got Mr. Brandon BC. And are you guys ready for some sports? Because I know I am, man.
Oh, always am ready 24/7, ready to talk sports, debate sports. Let's get it.
You know me, dog. It's my life.
There we go. Hey, man, we are on YouTube, we are on TikTok, we are on Spotify, we are on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Pretty much we're everywhere you are, but not in the creepy way, man. We just want you guys to follow us and love us, man. We truly love all the support and comments and interaction you guys have given us. So please just like and subscribe, hit the bell. You'll know whenever we're going our thing live, man. But that's not all we have going on. G, Mike, why don't you let the people know what else we have going on, my man?
Yes, sir. Guys, I run a Telegram channel where we give out sports gambling slips every single day. Try to get people from $5 to $10 to $100 of winning. So if you guys are interested, you'll see the link down below on the screen. Or just hit me up on one of my socials that you'll also see on the screen. Send me a DM and we'll get you going, baby.
There we go, man. Everybody loves a little bit extra cash in the pocket, man. Hey, Brandon, why don't you let the people know also what you got going on, my man?
Hey, we got Brandes Media. It's a local small business run by my wife and myself. We do weddings, engagements, photography sessions. We make sure that, if you or anybody you know has got that special question to ask, or they got that big day that they got planned out, they need someone to capture those memories that last a lifetime. Brandes Media, we got you covered, man. That's going to be at brandes.media. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Hell yeah, man. That is great, man. We got to support some small businesses out there, man. We all know that, Well, boys, dude, it has been a busy week, man. Well, today's show is going to be wild, dude. We have some Falcons news. We have some Cowboys news. We got some Vikings news. We also got some UFC. And, of course, we are down to our last team of the breakdown, guys. Can you believe it? We've actually been doing this long enough that we've broken down every division except the one today. Can you guys believe that, man?
Dude, I can't.
Great timing, dude.
Yeah. I mean, football's right around the corner, man. It's the best time of the year.
Yeah, great timing on how we were doing the episodes, too. I don't even think we planned that out. I think we were just like, let's just go until the regular season starts or whatever. But look, we're coming down to the last one, and the regular season starts in what, 2 weeks?
Yep.
Turns out, I kind of sort of did plan this one out. So it was all up here. Okay. It's not all good looks, okay? I mean,
it wasn't written down. It wasn't on the plan sheet.
Yeah, yeah, man. Bro, this has been fun as hell, man. Anyways, bro, so let's go ahead and get into this freaking sports world, dude, because this has been a wild week this week. The Atlanta Falcons had a busy week, man. So the Atlanta Falcons have traded for Matthew Judon, and they traded with the Pats. If you remember, the Pats and the Patriots were the Patriots and the Matthew Judon were having contract issues, and so they actually made a trade for it. The Atlanta Falcons will receive a 2025 third-round pick. Matthew Judon was great last year. G Mike, man, what's your thoughts on the Pats making this move?
Man, I feel like the Pats really wanted to get rid of him, and I think it was vice versa. I think they were both on the same turmoil, and they just wanted to get this done. He wanted to get out of there. They wanted him to get out of there because they traded him away for a third-round pick. And this guy's an amazing pass rusher, bro. Pro bowler multiple times, bro. He got him to the playoffs a few times too. And it's like, dude, man, you lose an edge rusher like this, it's pretty significant to your team, man. But, he goes to the Falcons. He gives the Falcons what they really needed in the draft, what they really should have drafted for in the draft.
Oh, hold on. They took care of that. They drafted a quarterback.
Yeah, that wasn't the filling spot they needed. It definitely wasn't the filling spot they needed. So now they bring in an edge rusher where they really needed it on defense and a big-time Pro Bowler. And he's going to help out that Falcons defense for sure.
Bro, Brandon, this is your division, buddy. What's your thoughts on this one?
I mean, Bucks, y'all better start taking notes, man. You better call to the New York Jets. I hear Hassan Reddick's having some issues with them right now. You guys better get on the phone because Falcons this isn't, as we're going to talk about soon, this hasn't been the only move that they've made. They're being aggressive in trades, and they're trying to bring in guys that will help them and will shore up the areas, like George said, that they did not address in the draft. So, they might be a division rival, but, I gotta tip the hat to them. That was a very smart move getting Judon and the move that we're about to talk about next.
Yeah, especially you were just talking about it. They weren't done. As pretty much as the ink dried, the Falcons made another major move, and they got Justin Simmons. And honestly, a lot of people I feel like forget how good that dude was. Actually, like as of 2023, he had, I believe it was 3 sacks and an interception. The guy was just kind of waiting his time out. In Denver, and they didn't want him anymore. Mike, bro, like how do you feel about this, man? Like they made 2 major moves. Do you like this or what?
I love it for the Falcons, man. They have, they had a good defense last year. They already had 2 secondary players that were, one was a Pro Bowler and one I think was considered a runner-up for a Pro Bowl. And bringing in Justin Simmons, a great safety like that, which I was super surprised on why he was so late in signing with the team this late in the offseason. Like to me, it was like, it was a no-brainer. Like someone should pick this guy up. And the Falcons just decided to do just that. And now their defense have improved from a tier 2 defense to, in my opinion, a low tier 1 defense.
Yeah, you know what's wild about what they did? Did you realize, and I had to look this up even to confirm this, do you realize the last time the Falcons had an actual double-digit sack person was Vic Beasley back in 2016, and he had 15. Though it was more of an outlier for his career. Since that point, he's never broken double digits. So the Falcons have not had an actual double-digit sack person in damn near almost a decade. So getting Matthew Judon. Now, Matthew Judon did come off a bicep tear, so I understand that he was out. He only played 4 games last year, but the guy was an absolute game wrecker. And let's face it, the Falcons needed to get some pass rushing. They were one of the least sacked teams in the entire league. Brandon, what's your thoughts on the Justin Simmons signing?
It's a big move for them. Honestly, it's one that if they don't have the best safety duo in the league, then it's top 2. I can't really name a lot of other teams that on the back end of that secondary are stacked like they are.
Dolphins.
I don't know, man. I mean, that's 2 Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber talents you got back there. And the thing is, both of them, their styles kind of complement each other really well. Neither one of them is really, a traditional in-the-box safety. Neither one of them is that traditional, zone. Like they are kind of hybrids. They can kind of do a bunch of roles, and they really can kind of bounce off each other exceptionally well, have great ball hawking skills. So, that the safety duo that they have right there is going to complement them in addition to the pass rush as well. Like when you have a great secondary that can lock down receivers, give quarterbacks extra time that they have to find to make those throws. That's going to give the pass rush more time to be able to do their thing, get back to the quarterback, put some pressure on him. And that's just, again, these 2 moves complement each other so well. And again, Atlanta just nailed it right there with these 2 trades.
So with getting Justin Simmons and figuring out the pass rushing situation they had, do you think this makes up for not drafting? Because they had the opportunity to draft arguably the best pass rusher in the league in the draft, and they went with Penix. Do you think this makes up for that move? Mike, I know you have strong thoughts on this one, bro. What's your thoughts?
My bad, Brandon. But I feel like it does make up for it, but then it doesn't in other areas. And I'll be specific. So it does make up for it that they made some more moves in the offseason. They realized that they didn't draft as well as they thought they did. And, they make up for it by getting these 2 players and improving their defense like they should have done from the get-go. So you do a good move there. But other aspects, you guys do not know how to draft. You guys need to learn how to draft, and that is the front office issue, and you guys need to fix that issue because in the upcoming years, that could really bite you in the ass.
Yep. Yeah, and I will say this, for short term, this, I think it makes up for a lot of the things that they did not do in the draft. However, long term, you got 2 players that are either at 30, approaching 30, or just like slightly over 30. They're at that stage where you're only going to be able to hold on to them probably as long as you hold on to Kirk Cousins. So you are going to eventually have to find guys to replace these players. So, and if they're drafting this past year is any indication on how they're going to draft in the future, it's not looking bright.
Well, I mean, Judon is, I believe, 32 years old, so he's not a young buck, but he also is coming off his best season of his career. He was, and for the last few years, he's been one of the top pass rushers in the league. So I do love the pick, or the trade. And honestly, let's face it, I mean, a 3rd-round pick is a lot, but for the Patriots, I feel like that is right up their alley. Like 3rd-round pick, they will find a dime in the rough. Like I think this deal works out for everybody that's the Belichick era is over, so maybe they're not going to find the diamonds in the rough in the third round. But how many times have the Patriots taken a 6th round, a 7th round, a 5th round pick and made them into a superstar? So I like the trade, the deal for both teams here. But I feel like the Falcons are in a win now mode, and they should be, because let's face it, Kirk Cousins isn't getting any younger. And they have a damn good team in a winnable division. No offense, Brandon, but they have every opportunity that they could win this division. I did pick your Bucs, but with these moves, man, they're finally shoring up the defense, and that's a big deal for them, because they were arguably one of the worst defenses. That was part of why they were losing games, because they were behind so much.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And the Bucs are going to really have to look at. They really have to make sure they hone in this year. They have to make sure all the guys that they not only drafted but also re-signed, signed in free agency, are playing up to their potential. Coaching is going to be such a big thing as well. Like Coach Bowles is going to have to really scheme and adjust now, and have to worry. And Liam Cohen, new offensive coordinator as well, he's going to have to scheme and adjust for this added pass rush. The fact that now you've got the best safety duo in the division right across the ball from you, it's going to be a lot tougher. And however, I'm not going to sit here and say that these moves necessarily put them over the top, but I will say, if it was a close battle before, it's even closer now. This is literally going to be, if I had to pick, I would say both games are going to be decided between the Bucs and Falcons this year. I would say by less than a touchdown. It's going to be that close.
Woo-hoo! That is some bold picking.
Yeah, and it's pretty tough to say that the Buccaneers will be up there with them, man, because when you compare the two teams, right, you compare both defenses, I would say they're kind of neck and neck right there with defense for sure. But when it comes to offense, man, I just think that Atlanta's star-studded offense just takes it over the top with the Buccaneers. And it's not to say that the Buccaneers offense is trash, but if you compare position to position, I think the Falcons really do take it.
You know what I'm really excited about this year for the Falcons, since we're talking about them right now, is Kyle Pitts, man. I'm excited to finally see this guy have an accurate, like, legitimate quarterback finally, because let's face it, dude, Kyle Pitts is a freakish athlete when it comes to, if you look at that guy on paper, that guy is absolutely a stud, and he's literally never had a real quarterback in his entire career, even going back to college. I mean, we had Kyle Trask back at Florida, and, Kyle Trask is a backup to the Bucs. I think he's a great quarterback, but let's face it, the guy has never had a legit quarterback since we've seen him. This guy, I believe, is 6'6", 250, and, like, what is he, negative 1% body fat or something like that? Like, this guy is just an absolute stud of an athlete. And, dude, it is going to be so great to finally see that guy finally get a legit quarterback. Brandon, buddy, I know you hate hearing about this one, man, but, like, Kyle Pitts, bro, you got to be kind of nervous.
Oh, no, for sure. Like, you can't take an opponent like Kyle Pitts for, like, you can't take him lightly at all. He's going to be somebody that is going to give, again, the Bucs a lot of fits in terms of scheming and trying to figure out who's going to best cover him. I would say that, it's not going to – I don't think that he's necessarily going to be running all over us. I still think that we do have guys that can lock him up. I think that our safety duo, we've got Antoine Winfield is still back there. He's an all-pro stud. Jordan Whitehead is another great complementary piece as well in the box that plays a little bit bigger than he actually is. And then you've also got Levante David, probably the most underrated player or linebacker in the NFL for the last decade, who not only has great athletic ability, but is also probably one of the smartest defenders in the league currently. So, it's going to be tough game planning around him, Drake London, Bijan Robinson for sure. But I think that we still definitely have the tools on this defense. I think if I'm the Bucs, though, the one thing I would do, take a page out of their playbook, get in touch with the Jets, try to see what you can get try to see what you have to give up for and make that trade happen. You already lost out on Randy Gregory. He's not coming to training camp. He's not going to be a part of this team. So why not just try to make up for that? Get some pass rush help. See if maybe, if you can give away like a 3rd round pick for Hassan Reddick, take it. Why not?
But do you have the money to give to him? Because that's what he wants. That's initially what he wants.
Yeah, I think I remember watching some like Pewter Report, Locked On Bucs the other day. They were talking about the salary cap situation. It was like, I believe right now where we're standing in terms of actual like cap room, we have around like $22 million. And then I think Reddick's asking for like 14 to 15. So, once you renegotiate contracts, that's after, making sure all the financial loopholes and everything are, good. I think that we could potentially pull it off. It's just next year, if you trade for Hassan, you give him that extension. Now you're looking at guys like Chris Godwin, Vita Vea, guys whose contracts and restructurings are coming up, and it might put a damper on that. So it's a tough thing that the Bucs got to do. But I think if you want to stay competitive in this division, you're gonna have to fork over some money and make that trade.
It may be a little bit off topic here, really, but honestly, I could stand the Bucs losing Chris Godwin. I think they'd be okay with losing Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin had his time. He was a great story. He was a great, receiver kind of thing, but he hasn't been Chris Godwin that we know and love in the last 2 years. Am I wrong on that one?
But who would it be with his receiver too?
Yeah, he definitely hasn't put up the stats that we're used to seeing, but I think also that's just been because he's been used wrong in the offense. I think he works better as that. Yeah, he's a number 2 receiver, but I think he works really well in the slot, and I think that's what Coach Cohen's going to exactly, and that's what Coach Cohen's going to try to use him a lot more this year. And they do have a wide receiver 3 now that can kind of slide in that outside role, Jalen McMillan. So if something happens where Godwin just wants to test the waters elsewhere and they want to move on from him, they do have a guy who I think has that potential to step in and be that next Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a great season, honestly, and the NFC South is gonna be a pretty interesting division, really. I mean, because there's so many things that could happen in there. But we will be breaking down the NFC North in a little bit. But some big news coming out of Minnesota, man. Unfortunately for the Minnesota Vikings, they've had nothing but trouble this week, man. J.J. McCarthy tears his meniscus and is undergoing surgery, and he's out for the season. The rookie looked through that bad interception at first, and then looked great afterwards, like he was settling in. And unfortunately for the Minnesota Vikings, they are out this season. So they got Sam Darnold stepping in. Mike, buddy, how do you feel about Sam Darnold?
Honestly, I think when he got drafted by the Jets, I think the bright lights really messed up his confidence and really threw him off the train of just trying to improve and be better in this league game after game, week after week. But I think now going to a team that is not in the bright lights as the Jets, even though he was with the 49ers, but he didn't get able to get any playing time there. But now he's going to the Vikings, where he's going to be the number 1 starter for sure, especially after this injury. I think he's going to excuse me. I think he's going to have a shot to prove himself. You got a star-studded receiver in Justin Jefferson. You got a wide receiver 2 who's just as great, or not, just a little bit less greater than JJ and Jordan Addison. A great, amazing tight end. And now I forget his name, but
TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah. TJ Hawkinson, thank you. And he's going to have a good offensive core around him. So he's going to be able to prove himself. And I honestly think he will. I don't think he's going to take him to the promised land. I don't think they go to the Super Bowl. Maybe make the wild card. But I think he's going to prove that he can be a good quarterback in this league.
Well, here's the problem that's going on for Minnesota is that you mentioned TJ Hawkinson and you mentioned Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison just got carted off the field at practice going for a contested pass, and he ended up getting hurt. And they're not sure exactly what it is. Not Danny Campbell. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's not going to miss playing time, though.
Yeah.
Expect him to be back for week 1.
Yeah, and so that's going to be one of the issues is that so they're decimated at receiver and tight end there. TJ Hawkinson is arguably one of the top 5, maybe top 3 tight ends in the league. When that guy is healthy, that guy is legitimately a real threat for any offense to have to, or any defense to have to deal with. So I don't know how the Minnesota Vikings are going to have to deal with this one, because you have Sam Darnold, and like you were saying too, can you honestly name another receiver that Sam Darnold has been able to throw to? I mean, I agree with you. I think that Sam Darnold isn't bad by any stretch. I think that legitimately he hasn't had anybody to actually throw it to. So I don't think it's more of that the Viking season is over. It's just not as optimistic as I would be going into the season if they would have had their full staff. BC, buddy, what's your thoughts on this one?
I can see it playing out a lot like when Case Keenum took over the reins for Sam Bradford. I want to say 5-7 years ago when he led him 13-3 record. He had about 3,500 yards, over 20 touchdowns, less than 10 picks. He's not going to be – I don't think he's going to be a game changer for them, but I think he's definitely somebody that, G. Mike alluded to earlier, he's got better weapons around him than he ever has before. And I feel like he'll be in a system now where he can probably put up, around 35, 4,000 yards, somewhere in that range, 3,500, 4,000 yards, get like 20, 25 TDs. And if he can find a way to minimize the interceptions, he'll have a quietly good season. Not great, not a needle mover, but I think that he could definitely, still provide some solid backup for JJ McCarthy. And, he might play himself into a better situation next year. He's definitely got the talent and the skill and the ability to make it happen.
So you know firsthand, being a Bucs fan, I mean, is this kind of like the Baker Mayfield story of like Baker Mayfield was like the forgotten guy that everybody kind of thought was either overrated or washed or he was done, and then he goes to Tampa Bay and works himself into a contract. He was borderline, not going to say the savior, but he kind of was the savior of the Tampa Bay Bucs. Do you kind of think like this same situation, BC?
I could see it being a little bit like that, although I will say this in terms of the division around him, it's a lot different. When Baker came to the Bucs, the South, it's been clowned for years. It's been close in terms of the division race, but that's more just because of the lack of talent in the division. In the North, as we're going to talk about, it's a dogfight up there. Like we talked a lot about the AFC North last week, being absolutely like hell to go through, but the NFC North it's no cakewalk either. So I think that's probably where the story kind of differs, but I could still see, I could still see him putting up good numbers in Minnesota. Just as far as the team and the division itself, a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, this one's gonna be interesting. G Mike, buddy. So Sam Darnold, man, like he's going in. He has a number one wide receiver, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. Do you think Sam Darnold can do this?
Again, I don't think he'll take him to the playoffs. I think with that division, I think the Lions and the Packers are going to be neck and neck to take that number one spot. So it's going to be hard for the Vikings to really slip in there, even though that NFC conference is pretty easy compared to the AFC. But I just don't think they get it done. And, their defense is improving with defensive coordinator Brian Flores out there. And he's been really changing the culture on that defense for sure. But they lost two key pieces as well. They lost a great pass rusher and a great linebacker. So it's like it's gonna be tough for them to actually get more than 9 wins, 8 wins. I would say they're probably gonna be in the 7 and 10 mark once again this year. So for to say that Sam Darnold is gonna get him to the playoffs and to the promised land, no. But to say that Sam Darnold is gonna do some actual work and get some points for the offense, yeah, I believe he will.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's legitimately a good backup. I think that like he's going to be serviceable. I don't have high hopes for the Vikings this year. Spoiler, we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But I think Sam Darnold is a legitimately a decent backup. And I think that's been his pretty much ever since he was in college. I think that he was drafted way too high. But I think this is the perfect role for him. And from all accounts, all the teammates, everybody seems to like Sam Darnold. He seems like a pretty good guy. And so I'm hoping the best for him. I just don't have too many high hopes for the actual team itself. But moving on from the Vikings, man, like they had a bad week, man. We're moving on to the Cowboys. And, they made a big announcement. G Mike, this is your team. They signed who is it? CeeDee Lamb to a long-term deal, right? That's the big news coming out of the Cowboys camp?
I wish, bro.
No, they didn't do that?
Bro. Freaking wish, bro.
Oh, wait. Hold on a second. No, I'm sorry. Just like us, we're not in any rush. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, we're in crazy rush because just yesterday or the day before that, a few days ago, Brandon Cooks got injured on the practice field. So if we don't have Lamb or Brandon Cooks, might as well just sign me. I'll be out there right now. Right now.
Oh, yeah? So you're ready to come off the field right now, huh?
Right now, dude. Right now. I'll pull a hammy. I'll get hit. I'll get a few concussions. I'll be out there.
No, but the Cowboys did actually make an actually legit move. What's your thoughts on the move they actually made? They made a trade with the Giants of all people.
Yeah. So we got veteran defensive tackle Jordan Phillips for the Giants and a 2026 7th round pick for a 2026 6th round pick. So right there, that just tells me that the Giants didn't want him no more. He didn't want to be with the Giants no more. He wanted to come to America's team. I mean, who doesn't? But we needed a fill-in spot because our defensive tackle Williams, he's out for the year undergoing surgery on his knee, so he's not going to be back till next year. And hopefully he comes back as the star-studded athlete that he was. But for now, we bring in Jordan Phillips. He's going to be a great fill-in. We really needed a replacement for that spot, so I'm pretty excited for that. It's going to help us with our defensive line. It's going to help us with our run defense. And hopefully, he could really make some important plays that can get us some important wins.
Yeah, that's an interesting ass division, honestly, and like they could. I feel like it's gonna be a high powered offense. You got to stop Jaden Daniels. You got to stop a lot of guys in that division. So I think that's a good move for the Cowboys to shore up that defense a little bit. BC, how are you feeling about that move, man? Like I feel like that's a pretty good move, and it didn't really cost him too much.
No, it really didn't. 6-round picks. Like, what are you going to use that, especially if you're Dallas next year, in a couple of years? I think it's a great move because it does help the interior pass rush. A lot of times when we look at defense, we always just think about edge rusher. It's the sexy pick. It's the sexy pick to generate pass rush. But honestly, if you can have a great interior presence as well, I think that's going to, help free up some blockers on, Micah Parsons. He's going to be in a lot of one-on-one situations now, so that'll help boost his numbers, boost that rush overall. So definitely a smart move, not only stockpiling, weapons on the outside, but also on the interior as well.
In the trenches, baby. It's all about in the trenches.
Sir, you know it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Funny story, actually. I'm an idiot. My neighbor who is going to be a sponsor for the show on here, he told me he does irrigation business, and he told me to dig a trench. Didn't realize that actually he didn't mean like a military trench. So I dug a hole that was borderline up to my kneecap, and he came out and he's like, "What the hell took you so long?" Didn't realize he didn't mean a ditch, a trench, just came a few inches out. So, yeah, that's why I talk sports. I'm not the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah, Steve's backyard is just a whole bunch of holes everywhere, and it's cool.
It's a war zone. He's got mines. He's got everything.
For real. You go back there and you're like, "Yo, I'm gonna lose a leg."
I was military ready, okay? So you know what it is.
Defense network. Who needs ADT?
Yeah, 100%. I make my own security by injuring myself, but I digress. I digress from my stupidity.
PvP sports makes
yeah, exactly. That's why I want to talk sports, because I can't dig trenches, and I can only do a few things really good for myself. Anyways, we digress, man. Hey, man, it's been a fun week of baseball as well, and we were going to continue our series that we've been doing with BC, our guy up there. He's our baseball expert, and we don't shy away from it.
Brandon's Bullpen.
There we go. Let's go ahead and go into another episode or another segment of BC Brandon's Bullpen.
I mean, this week in the bullpen, not much has changed as far as division standings go, aside from the AL East continues to be a dogfight up top. You got the Yankees and Orioles battling it out for supremacy up there, kind of flip-flopping back and forth. The Yankees got the lead right now in division by 1 game, but hey, by the start of next week, it could all change. But I will say this, though, too, for the rest of the divisions out there, most of them are within that 3 to 5 game reach. So, again, within the next week or two, we could honestly see some of these series flip. Wild card standings are pretty close as well. My Rays, unfortunately, I want to be optimistic, but I don't see this team, making it the postseason this year, even though they had a great comeback win last night, an extra innings win against the Diamondbacks, before the T-Pain concert. Shout out to the Trop. Let's go. Final post-game concert series.
I'm sprung.
Dude, he was playing all the hits, and it was
bad.
It was a throwback for me. Like I was going back to high school, but at the same time, I was like, man, I'm old.
I feel we'd rather digress from baseball, but T-Pain actually is so much more talented than like his songs were. Like that guy can sing really good. The auto-tune and stuff. I don't want to digress from baseball, but T-Pain actually is pretty good.
He invented that auto-tune stuff, man. He brought that shit to light. That's why it was so good, because people are like, damn, this is new.
Yep.
Smart.
It was great though. But as far as any like actual like big news, I would say probably in terms of like a historic milestone, Aaron Judge, outfielder for the Yankees.
Yes, sir.
Despise the team, but I do like the player. He's a Tampa guy. I can't hate on him too much. Fastest player in MLB history to reach career home run number 300. You look at all the greats in history, none of them, he stands alone atop all of them to be the first or the fastest player to do it. And funny enough, it comes on after an intentional walk from Juan Soto. And also on top of that, it's on a 3-0 pitch. So you're usually taught with 3 balls, just take that, take that 4th pitch. Even if it's one down the middle, just take it. You get an extra pitch out. It could be a ball, it could be a walk. He was just like, nah, screw this. I'm doing what I want. It was like middle inside, mashed at 360 feet. So gotta tip the hat there. Like I said, I hate the Yankees, but I respect Aaron Judge for who he is as a player, as a person. He's a great guy, and I'm happy that he's got that little claim to fame. Hopefully, he has a long career, but maybe he doesn't bash the Rays too much, not as much, or he can come play for us. I'd be more Aaron, if you're listening.
At the end, after he gets us a championship. Then he can go over there.
That's
I'll be cool with that.
He'll give you guys one. We'll take like 3 from him. So Aaron, I know you're listening.
Whatever. I'll take the 1. We already have 27. I'll take.
We will trade the entire Tropicana sign to the Yankees for you. And I don't know if it's worth $300 million like we offered you, but we'll trade whatever you need. I will offer myself in a trade for you if it gets us that.
I was about to say the Rays did try. $300 million wasn't good enough to go to Tampa Bay. I'm sorry, buddy. It's wishful thinking. I mean, honestly, go to Beantown and go to Boston, baby. They'll love you up there, even though we hate you right now.
But that pretty much, man, that's pretty much the bullpen for this week, man. It's kind of uneventful, a lot of flip-flopping. I know we're getting closer to those September call-ups. I will say, on a positive note, the Rays called up Junior Caminero, their top prospect, number 2 prospect in all of baseball. We'll probably see maybe 1 or 2 more call-ups as well. So, if you got a favorite prospect on your team, somebody that's working their way up in AA or AAA you're excited to see, you're probably going to start seeing them coming up towards the beginning of September. So it's going to be an exciting time here. It's going to be ramping up the next few months. So stay tuned.
Absolutely, man. And thank you very much for that as well. Of course, that is our boy BC wrapping up some baseball talk for him, baby. Let's go. Hey, but that's not all we have going on this week, man. Sports does not stop, man. We have an amazing fight on Saturday night. It's going to be UFC fight with Duplessis and Izzy Alessandra, the last airbender, man. G-Mike, this is going to be a fun fight here, buddy. Who are you picking in this fight?
Dude, I'm going to go with the underdog, man. So right now the underdog is Duplessis because Izzy's coming back. People know how Izzy fights, and they know he's a phenomenal fighter. But Duplessis just been on the roll right now, man. And he's been showing that he is the top dog right now, 21-2, even though Izzy is 24-3. So they're both, still at the top of their game. The only thing is that Izzy is a little bit older than him, but he has more of a reach. He has a 4-inch reach on him, and he's 3 inches taller than him. The only thing that Duplessis most likely is going to do against Izzy, and you could write this down and you could put it on a bet, is he's going to try and submit him, because if he tries to stay up with Izzy, Izzy's going to probably try to catch him with a knockout, and he can possibly do that. So I think Duplessis knows that, so he's going to try to take him to the ground and try to submit it. And honestly, I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to go with Duplessis maintaining his championship belt.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you actually on that one. I think Izzy, this might be slightly controversial on this one, but I think Izzy's time is over. I think that Izzy had a great run. I don't think that he is what he used to be. So I am also going with the champ, retain the belt here, and say that I'm going Duplessis. I think that he's on a hot streak right now. The reach and the height advantage is in favor of Izzy, and Izzy is, let's face it, he's one of the best fighters there is, and he can pull something out of anywhere. He's that's what made him great what he was. But I feel like that he had it kind of his time and he's got kind of figured out. So I'm going with the champ. BC, who are you going with?
I'm gonna make it a clean sweep for us. I got Duplessis as well. Like, I think that he's gonna, win this fight. Not handily, but it'll be a good back and forth. But I got him winning. He's younger. I know that we keep talking about the reach advantage that Izzy has. However, Duplessis, he's got a background in judo. He's got background in wrestling. He knows how to get you to the ground. He knows how to submit. He's got 10 submission victories under his belt, and he's on a great run as champion. So I don't see Israel, the age that he's at right now, I don't think that he's got enough of the physical tools anymore to be able to kind of make up for any deficiencies he has. And again, whenever we see these matchups of striker versus grappler, most of the time the grappler wins, because once – if you're able to, and most of the time grapplers are able to find ways to kind of get into the range or get underneath to get into the range of the striker. Like, if they can find the way in, they get him to the ground, it's pretty much done. And most of the time we've seen Izzy's bread and butter be on his feet. So I think I think Duplessis, he's got this one in the bag, and I think that we're going to see him retain. And it's crazy the champ's an underdog, but he's going to win it.
So that's how you pronounce it, Duplessis, not Duplessis.
I believe I see like the ESS.
I'm saying it wrong.
It's all good. I just saw right there. I was like, oh, Duplessis. I think
maybe.
Yeah. Well, you got to figure too. They're from South Africa, so like I'm sure we're probably butchering the hell out of it. My biggest concern, not even the pronunciation, is that all three of us went with the same pick. So I'm guaranteeing the internet is going to have receipts and let us know how dumb we are.
That's fine. That's fine. Just remember to join the Telegram channel because we're gonna have the slip there, and then once you win, you're gonna thank me. You're gonna thank me. Because Duplessis is gonna please the shit.
Woo!
Style, man. I'm telling you that right now. Like Adesanya's going down.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great fight. I'm super excited to see that one. That fight, honestly, really. And are you guys picking the distance, or are we going that bold? Are we gonna make that kind of prediction, or are we going knockout, or G Mike? What you got?
I think it doesn't go to distance. I think it's gonna end early than it would because it's a main event, 5 rounds. It's 5 minutes per round, right? Yeah,
correct.
5-minute match. Yeah, so I don't think it goes to distance. I think it ends.
No,
either Izzy's getting a knockout or Duplessis is getting a submission.
I like it. BC, what's your thoughts?
I'm gonna go. This one will go in the championship round. So, but I'm not gonna say it's gonna go to round 5. I'm gonna say Duplessis submission in the 4th round. Because remember, Adesanya hasn't fought in a while either, and he's coming off a loss. So let's see how good his cardio is. Like
he better be training, boy.
He's flashy. He's flamboyant with his moves. So those tend to be very draining. He's not always the most efficient fighter.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go that I think he's gonna get knocked out. I'm predicting KO. I'm gonna go 3rd round. I'm gonna be in bold, and I'm sure the internet will let us know how long and stupid we are.
Out Izzy?
What's that?
Duplessis knocking out Izzy?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I'm going bold. Go bold or go home. It's a Saturday. Why the hell not?
The odds on that must be like plus 500.
Yeah.
If only I knew a Telegram channel that can make a great bet on. All right, guys. Well, hey, we're wrapping up with the UFC there, and we are moving up to the north. And this is our last division to break down, and I'm so happy that we're actually at this point that we've actually broke down all the divisions. You can go back and check out all the other divisions we have. Next week, we'll probably make some predictions on Super Bowl and all that good stuff, but we have one more to go, and it's not a light one at all. We are in the NFC North, where we have the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, and the Chicago Bears. And there's been a lot of moves going on with all of these teams going on. Guys, who are you thinking made the most moves in the offseason? BC, we'll start with you. Who made the most noise in the offseason for this division?
I mean, it's at least to me anyway. It's obvious the Chicago Bears. Drafting Caleb Williams #1 overall, and then also bringing in Keenan Allen for your wide receiver core. I think that just those 2 moves alone made so much noise, and they're poised not only for this year, but they're trying to make themselves division winners for years to come.
Yeah, no, I agree. They did finish in last place last year too. They were 7-10. But yeah, the Detroit Lions were definitely pretty much the talk of the division, I feel like. Wow, screw that one. I'm sorry. The Chicago Bears were the talk of the division. Yeah, I was jumping ahead. Sorry. The Chicago Bears were definitely the talk of the division in there with drafting Caleb Williams. I love what they did with drafting Caleb Williams and getting Roma Dunze at the same time. That was a hell of a transition for them. G Mike, normally we start at the top, but we're starting at the bottom here, and I think with good reason, because Chicago Bears made some good moves. What's your thoughts?
No, they made some great moves. They drafted with the 1st overall draft pick Caleb Williams, who everybody has. Well, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of people have a high ceiling for him. I know us 3 do. We really think that he's gonna do a lot. They bring in veteran wide receiver Keenan Allen, where he has been phenomenal in the Chargers with Phillip Rivers and then Justin Herbert. Now he could probably do the same thing with Caleb Williams, which I really think he is. They extend DJ Moore, their wide receiver 1, who has been doing phenomenal as well throughout his career. And last year with the Bears, he broke some records there. Like you said, they bring in Rome. He's going to be a good rookie receiver. So they're going to have a trio right there where we just did a top 5 trios of the league, and they're up there in that. And then they bring in a great running back, DeAndre Swift, where he was doing work with the Eagles with a great offensive line. Now the Bears are not going to have that same great offensive line. They're going to have to prove themselves, but it's good to have DeAndre Swift back there that you could dump off the ball to if you need to when you have a security blanket. And we saw Caleb Williams do that in his first preseason game, that when he was getting rushed by 5 dudes, he had to throw the ball off to somebody, and DeAndre Swift was right there. And you know how Swift is. He's swifty out there running, and he could get past anybody. So I think their offense is going to be really great. Now their defense really has to come to play, and if the defense is out there not stopping the other team from scoring, it's just going to be a shooting clinic on both sides, and then it's going to come down to the ultimate final 2 minutes of an NFL game, and where I think that the Bears will not win because of their defense. So their defense really needs to step up in a lot of these games, and especially the divisional games, because I believe we all think that this division can be close. So if they're coming to games where the Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, and the Minnesota Vikings that come down to the last 2 minutes, they better hope and pray their defense out.
Yeah.
Woo! That's some fire going right there. PC, what do you got to top that? I hate to have you go after that, man. What you got?
I mean, Monsters of the Midway better make a comeback this year, otherwise this team is gonna be screwed. You know, you can't win strictly on offense. You got to have a balanced attack. So I think everything that George said, I'm pretty much echoing here. And you know, there's not much more to say. We all talked about the sexy picks, the offense that they've added this year, but it's going to come down to ultimately that defense and what they can accomplish.
Yeah, and so like we said, we kind of did a reverse order normally, but the Bears obviously were the talk of the division here. So we'll go ahead and bring it back up top, and we're going to go with the Green Bay Packers. Excuse me. Whoa! Don't.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. That was my bad. It was the Detroit Lions. Excuse me. I know.
Are you a sports analyst or?
I know. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for that one. Sorry.
That was a blooper.
Lions.
Bro.
That was an acted out blooper. We planned that.
Dude, Eminem's got that diss track ready for you, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Slim Shady. I am sorry, man. Don't bring back Slim
awesome
Shady.
Album he just came out with, by the way. Yeah. Awesome album.
Houdini.
That album was freaking fire.
No, that's not the name of the album.
That was amazing.
No, just
the name of the album.
I don't know the name of that. Houdini's my favorite song from it, so
I forgot the name of the album.
Who doesn't love a little Eminem talk in the middle of sport because I screwed up bad? Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, man, we got the Detroit Lions out there, man. And the Detroit Lions were one of the most fun teams to watch last year. Who doesn't love Dan Campbell? That guy is one of my all-time favorite coaches, and he's only been there for a couple of years. I love what they're doing out there, and Detroit is set up for the future. They re-signed Jared Goff. I feel like that Jameson is going to finally make that step up to be a legit wide receiver that they drafted high for. D-Mike, my man, what's your thoughts on the Lions, bro?
I think their offense is still going to show that they're great. Last year they were shooting with just anybody putting up points per points. The thing I'm worried about is their defense, man, because their secondary depleted a little bit, losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the Eagles. And their secondary last year was kind of weak. They were like in the middle, or if not the bottom of the pack of the league in secondary. And I think that they're going to remain there this year. They didn't really do some crazy significant moves. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But as I'm remembering right now, there's no significant moves that I can remember. So it's just like I'm worried on what their pass defense is going to look like, and especially in a division with Jordan Love and these receivers. Caleb Williams and these receivers, and obviously the Vikings don't have a star-studded quarterback, but they still have some great receivers as well. So if your secondary is not doing work, it's going to be tough to stop teams from scoring. And if you're going neck and neck, just like the Bears, the final 2 minutes are going to haunt you.
Yeah, so they did draft Arnold out of Alabama, who was one of the top corners in the league. So they did try to short up a little bit, but I totally agree with you. That's going to be their biggest downfall for the Lions is going to be that defense. BC, how you feeling about the Lions and their defense? I mean, obviously the offense has a bunch of star power, but that defense is kind of in trouble.
I think that they made they made some good moves in certain areas. Obviously, bringing in DJ Reader from Cincinnati, getting Marcus Davenport from Minnesota. I think those are going to be some good moves as far as the shore up the trenches. But yeah, secondary wise, they needed some help. They didn't really do a whole lot to address that this offseason. So I think that's going to be, it's like the opposite of the Falcons. They addressed a lot on the corners, getting Arnold and Carlton Davis, or getting him from the Bucks. That's going to be a decent move. But as far as their safeties go, their back end is going to be very porous. So it's going to be hit or miss with that back end of that defense. But I also think though too with Davis, I know some people are, trying now to puff him up and everything. I don't think that he moves the needle that much for them in terms of corners. Yes, he was a starting corner when the Bucks won the Super Bowl, but dude had a lot of problems going into this past year. The fact that he's injury prone, the fact that he basically, if you get any form of separation from him, he's toast. So I think that they on paper, they try to make some good moves in terms of the secondary, but I think overall, aside from Arnold, I don't think that it's going to really be enough to help that back end of the defense. But again, love the moves up front, just not so much on the back end.
Yeah, the Lions were so confident in their offense that they only drafted an offensive guard, and I believe that was in the 6th round. So they feel really confident on that side, but they also figured they need to shore up that defense, like G-Mike was saying down there. The Lions are really interesting team, and I'm really excited for the Lions because, let's face it, Detroit has had nothing but misery for so long. The Tigers have been awful. The Pistons have been awful. It's great to see the Lions finally stepping up, and I know all the other division rivals are like, screw that, we hate the Lions, but it is finally nice to see them being relevant for something in there. So I really enjoy the story with the Lions in there. So we're going to move on from the Lions, and we are going to move on to the Green Bay Packers. And let's face it, man, Green Bay Nation is major out there. They finished this season at a record of 9-8. But I think that's not really the story for the Packers. I think this biggest story for the Packers was Jordan Love finally kind of coming into his own. And Jordan Love had a hell of a season. He finished 2nd in the league in passing, and he got that contract to get rewarded for it. So the Green Bay Packers are not going to be a new look, but they almost have a new swag to them. G-Mike, what's your thoughts on the Green Bay?
Man, it's astonishing to me that he finished 2nd in the league. And you said in passing yards?
No, and 2nd in the league in passing touchdowns.
Passing touchdowns, even better, bro. Even better. When he started the first 5 weeks, like not even on a good note, like on a horrible note, in my opinion. And he just raised the roof from there, bro. And it's honestly awesome to see for Green Bay Packers fans. Damn well they love that. Brett Favre, to Aaron Rodgers, and now to Jordan Love. They've had a great quarterback after quarterback after quarterback generation, and it's awesome to see. And then they bring in Josh Jacobs, which I think he's one level higher than what they had in Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones goes to the Vikings and their arch enemy, but they bring in Josh Jacobs, where he's crazy power back. He could get you rushing touchdowns whenever you're on the goal line. He could catch the ball as well. He's swifty, like. The dude's going to do some work. He's going to do some damage for the offense. And then you extend Jordan Love. You give him that confidence. You give him that security blanket when it comes to his contract. And the receivers that he got out there, too. He loves his receivers. He's been shown that. He's said it. And they're getting more chemistry with him. They're getting more comfortable. Excuse me. They're getting more comfortable with him. And, dude, I think it's just going to be great for their offense. Their defense is in the middle of the pack, just like how the Detroit Lions was last year. But I think they actually did improve on their pass defense and a little bit on their rush defense, not as much as you would anticipate too when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. But I think they're going to be fighting neck and neck with the Lions this year for the number 1 spot, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take it.
Yeah, I agree, and honestly, and we all know I love the Green Bay Packers offense. I picked them as my number 4 wide receiver core in the league. I just love what they're doing out there. Romeo Doubs is, I think, going to be the guy this year. If I had to pick out of the 3 or 4, I mean, that's a great option to have, is when you have 3 to 4 guys that can arguably be your number 1. You're in a good spot with that. And signing Josh Jacobs was a surprise to me. I was surprised that they let Aaron Jones go, but it makes sense, man. Bring in a younger guy who's almost the same player. They play the same style. They don't have to change much with it. I have a lot of high expectations for the Green Bay Packers. BC, what's your thoughts on them, bud?
I like a lot of the moves they made. I mean, obviously the big one is Josh Jacobs, but I also like getting Xavier McKinney as well, safety from New York. I think that that's a big addition to them on the back end. And just even looking at the draft too, you got Javon Bullard from Georgia, again another safety back there to kind of shore up the back end of the secondary. I like getting Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M. I think he's going to be a good linebacker to kind of grow in that system. Could possibly start. We'll see. You got an offensive tackle, Jordan Morgan from Arizona, that's going to be used to help bolster that protection around Jordan Love. And then even Marshawn Lloyd as a secondary running back piece behind Josh Jacobs, kind of to complement him, more of a quick, shifty, pass-catching kind of back. I think that is just the kind of moves that they needed to make. And, they shored up a lot of holes. Are there still some, going forward? Sure. But I think that as far as their team as a whole, they're pretty well-rounded, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying in there too. And Lloyd there's been some rumors in training camp that Lloyd hasn't picked up the offense as quickly as they would like, but I think he's going to be a legitimately great combo. And let's face it, Matt LaFleur loves using a combination of running backs in there. He's never been a one guy system. So I think that signing Josh Jacobs was a great move. And Josh Jacobs is still legitimately a top tier running back in the league. I feel like he's, I believe, 28 years old too. So they could theoretically sign him to another deal if they wanted to, if this doesn't work out. So I love what Green Bay did this offseason. They still have kept their record of not drafting a wide receiver or an offensive player in the first round. But hey, it is what it is, So I have a lot of expectations for the Green Bay Packers, and that's more to come. But I have a lot of expectations for them. So
a lot.
A lot.
Does. A lot.
I'm not going to say anything, but I have a lot of expectations for them.
Spoiled.
So coming in,
it rhymes with cereal bowl.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Actually, that not going to spoil it, but I have a really high expectation for the Green Bay Packers.
Crunch, baby.
There we go. So coming in third, in which I don't feel like they'll be coming in third this year, is the Minnesota Vikings. And like we alluded to earlier, they've had slightly an interesting offseason. They've lost their number one pick. They're running with Sam Darnold this year. Justin Jefferson is finally healthy, and unfortunately, his number two is hurt. TJ Hawkinson is hurt. BC, man, what is your honest expectations for the Minnesota Vikings with all of what they've gone through this offseason?
I think that it's one that there's a little bit of some shattered expectations. Again, obviously losing McCarthy's big, but just looking at some of the players that they were still able to acquire this year, you got Dallas Turner from Alabama, one of the best edge rushers in this draft. I think that he's somebody that is going to be, a big staple for them moving forward. I know, they drafted Kyrie Jackson later on, and unfortunately he had passed away. Our condolences, thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Like that's, such a tragic thing to have to see and go through. But, he also on top of that, you bring in Aaron Jones, to kind of be that running back for you now after losing so many running backs back in the past. But bringing in Shaq Griffin as well, bringing in Will Reichard. It's a kicker. It's kind of underrated, but I like the idea of getting the most, play with the most points in college football history on your team. I think that's kind of an underrated move. I think he'll be a good kicker for the team. But, these are a lot of moves that, aren't going to necessarily benefit them right now, but they're going to benefit them down the road, with also trying to still make them somewhat of a winning team with Aaron Jones. Again, if everything rolls well for them with injuries, we'll see.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting with the Vikings, really, because it wasn't that long ago that they were the face of the division, and then Detroit came in and said, "We'll be taking that from you." It's going to be a wild ass division, honestly. Mike, how are you feeling about the Minnesota Vikings, dude? Because they, in theory, on paper, they still have a chance. They don't have a scrub as a backup. I mean, Sam Darnold is legit; he was a first round pick, but you kind of don't feel as warm and fuzzy about Sam Darnold as you would with the other quarterbacks in the division. What's your thoughts, man?
No, and especially that they had a quarterback in Kirk Cousins that he was coming off a career year. I think they're going to take a crazy downfall when it comes to the QB position. Again, I think Sam Darnold will get them wins, but I don't think they'll be above 500. So it's going to be tough for them to actually get into the playoffs like they've been doing the last few years. Their defense, like I said before, they're going to be good. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be good. And they lost some important pieces there, so I think that's going to bite them in the ass. But other than that, man, their offense is great. We just got to see what Sam Darnold's going to do, man, because the head coach, he's going to be doing some great plays for them. He has great schemes and stuff. So it's ultimately just going to fall on Sam Darnold. Is he going to show us that he's the New York Jets, Sam Darnold, or the new and improved Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, BC, buddy. So we literally don't really like G Mike was just alluding to. We don't really know what Sam Darnold we're getting, and like Sam Darnold, he was pretty good at USC when he was in college coming out. He was, arguably supposed to be the savior of a franchise. Do you think he can do it in Minnesota?
I mean, there's potential to. Obviously, when you have, when you're a top 2 draft candidate or top 3 draft candidate, in your draft, I think that the physical tools are there. I think the big thing is that we're going to find out this year is he mentally able to do this? For a long time, we've never lambasted Sam Darnold for his physical gifts. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's got decent mobility. He's got good pocket presence. The thing is, what is it like in between the ears? Is he going to actually be able to put this all together? Now that he's out of the bright lights, now that he doesn't have, all the New York media bearing down on him, is he going to be able to put this together, or is he just that guy that's kind of a backup and nothing more?
Yeah, like it's right. And the New York media, that holds the New York vibe. It's either you make it or you don't, and that's always been New York's slogan, anyways. You can make it here or not, But that is a big factor, I think, in the mentality. Some people can't handle that media up there. They can't handle the pressure. It's bigger lights, bigger city,
Mm-hmm.
We already talked.
Before we get going, really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Drake just put $450,000 on Izzy to win, so you already know he ain't winning, baby. You already know.
So that means our pick will be correct.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Join the Telegram, $5 a month. We got you.
Yeah, man. So we already talked about the Chicago Bears, but we can jump on them a little bit more. That was my fault. I kind of jumped to the bottom onto the top up here, but the Chicago Bears, man, they had an interesting offseason that we've already alluded to. We've already talked about it a little bit, but honestly, do you guys think this is the long-term answer? Is Caleb Williams finally the quarterback that's going to get it done? I don't think Chicago has had a 4,000-yard passing quarterback ever. I can't remember. I cannot pick a time that they've ever had a legitimately long-yard passing quarterback. And Caleb Williams, you can say what you want about him, maybe his maturity, whatever. I personally think this was the best pick. I think that this is going to change the future of the Chicago Bears. G. Mike, what you got?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, we still got to see what he's going to bring to the table when it comes to on-the-field stuff and even off-the-field stuff. But I truly believe now, because before I wasn't really that much of a believer, but now I truly believe that he's going to be the franchise guy and he's going to change stuff for Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, he theoretically, he's been poised to do this for quite a while. The NIL deals and when he made that transfer to USC, he's been on the spotlight for a while. So I think that he can handle the pressure, and I just think that he is a legitimately good quarterback. His college resume wasn't necessarily the last season, for that matter, wasn't the greatest. He had a shaky offensive line, but I think Caleb Williams is the real deal. BC, what are your thoughts, man?
I tend to agree. In terms of the physical perspective, or in terms of from a physical standpoint, he embodies a lot of the traits that we see in Sam Darnold. Again, physical specimen, is great passer, great mobility. I think the one thing that we're going to find out from him this year, and it's the same thing that we're going to find out with Darnold, is how is he between the ears? What is his mental abilities? And as far as being the best quarterback in Chicago Bears history, I think he can get that. It's not necessarily the highest bar to clear. You just need one. You need a couple Pro Bowls and one Super Bowl, and I think you've got it. If you win the Super Bowl, you're already with Jim McMahon for the top spot, and then all you need to do is just 4,000 color. Yeah, that he just needs. If he has
Rex Grossman.
Yeah.
Hey, don't shit on Sexy Rexy, okay? He was a Gator, all right?
Bro, so, that was all defense, bro. That was all defense. There was no offense there for that Chicago Bears team. That was straight defense, bro.
Whenever the Bears went to the Super Bowl, who'd they play?
The Indianapolis Colts, where they.
I'm sorry. Who won that game?
Yeah,
I know the Colts. That's what I'm saying. There was no offense for the Chicago Bears. Still straight defense.
If I can get a Colts plug in there, you know damn well I'm going to play it. But BC, we interrupted you on that one, buddy. You are on Rex Growth.
Sorry. It was just funny to me.
It's probably the shortest bar to clear for
literally, bro.
Quarterback in a franchise. Yeah. So, like I said, 4,000 yards, 1 Super Bowl, and like 1 or 2 Pro Bowl / All Pros. Not even an MVP.
Not even 4 straight seasons going to the playoffs. You're good.
Yeah.
How ironic is this? In the same exact division, you have arguably the 4 best decades of quarterback play in history of the NFL coming from the same division, but not the Bears. It's the Green Bay Packers. You had Favre, you had Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love looks like he's gonna be the real deal. TBD. In the Chicago Bears, can you name the best quarterback they've had? Like it's wild to me.
That's why it's the greatest rivalry in pro football. The dichotomy you have there, the long-term sustained success that Green Bay has had versus the kind of flash in the pan, but probably one of the brightest flashes in terms of that 85 Bears squad. It's pretty interesting to see for sure.
Imagine that 85 Bears defense with this offense right now.
Well, they'd be so penalized they wouldn't be able to do anything.
That's true.
Dude, I'm talking about like with the rules and everything. Like,
I agree with you. It's still
the skill and the talent. The skill and the talent.
Yeah. No, my more thought it was I was getting at was that they wouldn't be able to play the way they played because of the way things have changed. Like they destroyed quarterbacks. Now they would look at them and they get scared. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same as it used to be. That defense was insane and still is probably arguably the greatest defense of all time.
Yeah,
that or the Ravens. I mean, that what was it?
2000 Ravens.
Yeah, that's a fun
2013 Seattle Seahawks.
Oh yeah, the Legion of Boom. Yeah, yeah. Well,
look what happened when your boy played that defense. Look what happened when your boy played that defense.
Who, man. Andrew Luck? No, yeah. Whatever.
The one and only big ass head.
Mr. Five-Head himself, Peyton Manning. Yeah, that's still wild to me how bad Denver looked in that offense against Seattle in that defense. Like that was still one of the craziest Super Bowls I've ever seen. Because we all thought it was going to be offensive, and it just didn't work out that way at all.
That was the year before their offense became a super firepower. That was the year that it was only Peyton Manning and Darius Thomas. That's it.
Yeah.
Against obviously the Denver Broncos defense was phenomenal, but they were going up against an amazing defense in the Seattle Seahawks, and their offense was amazing too. So it was like it was hard to compete. And even then, their kickoff, Percy Harvin took it to the crib.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prime. They lost that game, 45-7.
Prime Russell Wilson was actually pretty good. People kind of like to shit on him now. But great. Prime Russell Wilson was actually a pretty decent thing, man. All right, boys.
Pete Carroll is the one that ruined that, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Carroll ruined it. A horrible play call with some Madden play call, some online Madden amateur skill level play call in that final 10 seconds of that game.
That still will go down in history.
You have one of the greatest running backs in history on the 3-yard line, and you throw the ball on 2nd and 3, and you throw the ball. Bro, I'm running the ball every single play. I don't care if he gets in. I'm running the ball every play.
Not even one of the greatest, the meanest, like one of the most powerful runners of all time, and you don't trust him to get it 2 to 3 yards? Are you kidding me? Even Tom Brady in the documentary, The Man in the Room, was like, we lost. This is it. This is over. And literally, Tom Brady's even like, why the hell are you not running the ball? Like, what are you doing?
Dude. Sometimes I truly believe that some old folks and even some folks in our generation need to play Madden if they're going to coach a little league team, a Pop Warner team, a high school team, a college team, an NFL team. I think you need to play Madden so you can learn some tricks and schemes. Because goddamn.
Only on Views from the Stands are we saying that Madden would have saved
100%. 100%. HB Power Circle. Run it.
Yep.
Here's the turbo button. All right, James. We have to wrap this up, man. So we're gonna do what we always do. We're gonna make our predictions on the division. So, Mr. BC, we're gonna go up first. I want your order in division. NFC North, go.
All right, from top to bottom, I got the Lions at 1. I got the Packers at 2. I got the Bears at 3, and the Vikings at 4.
G Mike, what you got?
I got the Lions at 1, coming in close. Second place, the Green Bay Packers. 3, Chicago Bears. 4, Minnesota Vikings. Sorry, Vikings fans. Got to do it to you.
All right, I'm going Green Bay is going to take it. Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, and Minnesota. And there's no disrespect to Minnesota, but I just think that they're a little bit injured right now, and I don't think that they're going to have the greatest of season. It's going to be interesting. Well, gents, I think that is going to wrap it up for Views in the Stands for this week. Next week, we are trying a new thing. We're going to go live, baby. And we hope that you guys support us like you've been already. We're excited for this. And G-Mike, got anything to say to people before we go?
Yeah, just to let you know, next week, episode 10 is going to be live. So you guys could be in the chat, say whatever you want. If you want to ask some questions, we'll bring it up on either on screen or we'll just talk about it. We'll shout your name out. But it'll be dope to have you guys there. Don't forget to please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. A View from the Stands podcast, baby. You already know. G Mike out of here.
BC, you got anything closing words for the people?
Ditto to what George said. And on top of that, come at me, bro.
Come at me, bruh.
I can't wait for next week. It's going to be our 10th, not anniversary, not 10 years, but 10th episode. So either way, you got to celebrate something.
God.
And we are going to go live. So please watch, please subscribe. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like George was saying, you'll be able to see yourself on the screen. You'll be able to watch it with us. And
we might even bring you on the show for a few minutes. We might.
Right. There's a possibility, even if you feel that confident that you can debate us or tell us how wrong we are, you can maybe come out and jump on the show. So
get mad when you disagree with me and I come at you. Don't get mad.
The only way to do all that is if you like and subscribe and let us know how we're doing. We love you guys out there and stay safe. It's a crazy world there, and Views from the Stand loves you. Thank you very much for everything you guys do, and shout out to all the military, man. Stay safe.
Peace.
See ya.